Born into a world, and you brought your world with you, or at least your potential to be a world, right? And through living, you were already involved in things with certain kinds of significance, right? They chose it for you. No, it's not like your parents got together and said, okay, what kinds of things do we want to be significant to our child, right? How could they do that? Like, out of the billions of things that a child runs into in the first year of their life, how do they sort out which ones matter and which ones don't?
Which ones they see people use?
Yeah. Say that again.
Which ones they see people use?
The ones that they see people use and how they use them and why they use them and what's important to them when they use them. How do you think a mother or a father or a brother or a sister or an aunt or an uncle or a friend or a daycare worker, how do you think one Dasein communicates to a very little Dasein that something was really important that they just grabbed? How do you show this? That's really important. Do you say, oh, that thing that is round and blue and leaves marks on things, that's really important that it doesn't leave marks on walls. Walls are really important things. This flat space thing that obtrudes in front of you is not paper. That crayon does not go on the wall. How does a parent show? Does it do that? Does it have a conversation like this? This little blue piece of wax that weighs about, let's put it on a scale, oh, it's like 0.6 ounces. That's called crayon. No way, that doesn't happen, right? And this flat piece of old, used to be a tree, and then we chopped it up in little bits, and boiled it, and mixed in these, and that's paper. Like, do we explain? No. So how does a child know that crayons go on paper? This is a relevant example in my own life with my 20-month-old. She writes all over the walls. I let her, my wife does not like that. So I have to go around and clean up after her after she does it. So I try to explain, don't do that. When she does it when my wife is around, how do you think my wife shows her this is important? Grabs the baby and here's what the baby hears. Right, and all kinds of crazy. Does the baby have any idea what is what? No, they have no idea. But are they starting to gain an idea of significance? Yeah, significance before they even see ready to hand or presents to hand. They have no idea what they just did, right? Some kid goes and grabs. Everything is equally interesting to a little baby, right? They just grab stuff. How do they learn that grabbing this stuff was okay and grabbing that stuff not okay? There's nothing about the objects that tells them that. It's the reaction to other people, from other people, right? And slowly, over trial and error, they start to get a world of significance. But what that means is, really, what they're slowly starting to do is make assignments to themselves about what they are, and how they are, and who they are. Because it's only on the basis of them making an assignment to themselves that they can understand or have significance, right? So what the baby's really doing, and what you all did, was picked up what you are from the way that people reacted to the things you did in the world around you, right? And if people treated you like the pet dog, kick you and throw you outside when you do something wrong and rub your nose in it when you pee on the floor on accident, then what sort of idea are you getting of yourself? And what assignment do you make to yourself, right? And you don't do this people don't do this with you on purpose. Nobody does this explicitly. It's just the way you gain a world, right? You make assignments to yourself. You understand things this way. So what that means is all of us have a world by being submissive to it. This is submission to the world. You don't get a world first by choosing one. Say, oh, I want to be like that world, right? No, you get a world, and a world that already has all kinds of significance through submission to the world. Now, in order to understand this more, and we're going to come back to that when we get to being with. So let's just pause that for a minute. Let's talk about how Dasein is spatial. Now, spatial means we have an idea of our environment in terms of generically space. Heidegger has a lot to say about what space can be and cannot be. We're not going to stress too much about spatiality except for this. For Dasein, spatiality involves two basic things: deseverance and directionality. Deseverance is a really awkward word. I don't know that the translators knew what to do with this. But what it means is that Dasein automatically tries to bring things close. That is, it tries to de-sever. So to sever is to separate, right? To put something away, to make it far off, right? So like if I sever ties with my ex-wife, that would mean what? Cutting it off, and I'm pushing it away, right? So to de-sever would be what? To try to bring it in, right? To bring it close. So what Dasein has is a natural inclination towards closeness. When I'm doing home projects, the thing I hate the most is when I think I have a tool close and I can't find it. And I spend a half an hour looking for something that I only needed for 30 seconds. But then I'm so stupid when I use it and I think, oh, I'm not going to need this for a while. I put it someplace and I forget where I put it, and then I go back over the whole cycle again, right? So closeness is our natural desire to keep things close, right? That's what deseverance is. This happens not just in our things that are ready to hand, right? We want to keep them ready to hand, and that means keep them close, not far away. You might experience this de-severing tendency. If you get a new phone, and just imagine you're really excited about your new phone, and somebody else is really excited about your new phone, and they want to play with your phone while you're still trying to set it up. How do you feel about that? It's annoying, isn't it? It's like, no, give that back to me. I'll let you have it just in a minute, but first I got to do my thing, right? And it's annoying. Why? Because they're making it far away, and you need to bring it close. That feeling of bringing it close, that's deseverance, right? Deseverance can happen, well, we'll talk about that with being with. Directionality is that things don't only take up their space, but they have the direction of the space that they're supposed to take up. Signs sign or give us information about the directionality of space. And it's not just about right hand and left hand, although it does come up in that way often enough. So have any of you guys been in airports where they have those conveyor belts in the hallways, not just going up and down stairs? What are they called? Escalators when they're up and down stairs, but yeah, walkways or whatever. I don't know. You just walk on them, right? And they came up with a jingle in Seattle that plays over the speaker that says something like, "If you're gonna walk, go to the left. If you're gonna stand, stay on the right," or something like that, right? Because everybody was getting so annoyed with everybody else when you're trying to get to your flight fast and you want to walk on the walkway to double your speed, and other people are just standing all the way across it and blocking up your path to walk straight, right? So directionality is you have a direction to go in, and the world needs to run according to that direction, right? Freeways and highways, directionality at work, right? We are comfortable and we feel familiar with the world when things are ready to hand directionally, right? That is when the traffic flows and you're going, like you pass people on the left, and after you pass them, you move over to the right. And if you stay over in the left and you make everybody behind you slow down, you're not doing things right, directionally. You need to move over, or you've just become conspicuous. And you're breaking up the readiness to hand, right? So things have direction, right? And Dasein gives things directionality. Roads don't care what direction you drive on them. Who cares? Who makes that matter? Dasein, right? Dasein. So in our dealings with the world and our environment, we tend towards deseverance and directionality. This makes us feel like the world is familiar, right? So we like to keep our world relatively close, right? And for it to maintain its direction. All right, so then Heidegger moves from this and he asks now the fundamental question, who is it that has this world? This world that has these characteristics, right? And the answer is the self. And I want to read to you, though, a little paragraph about the self on page 150. It's right at the top of section 25. Yeah, we're doing well. The answer to the question of who Dasein is one that was seemingly given in section 9, where we indicated formally the basic characteristics of Dasein. And here he's just going to review them, right? Dasein is an entity which in each case I myself. Its being is in each case mine. This definition indicates an ontologically constitutive state, but it does no more than indicate it. At the same time, this tells us ontically, though in a rough and ready fashion, that in each case an I, not others, is this entity. But does it tell you who you are? Who is this I? It's just, we run around saying I, and every Dasein has its own I, right? Dasein has I, or mineness, and therefore it tells us something ontologically. Every Dasein is an I, but does it tell you anything really ontically, that is about the I that you inhabit? Not really, right? That's what he's telling you. So the question of the who answers itself in terms of the I itself, the subject or the self. And now he's going to define it for you. The who is what maintains itself as something identical throughout changes in its experiences and ways of behavior, and which relates itself to this changing multiplicity in so doing. Okay, so there are two basic elements of a self being expressed here. Can you pick out what they are? So the self is, on one hand, what maintains itself as something identical throughout changes, right? So the I is what maintains itself as identical throughout changes. I'm going to tell you a very quick story, because this gets really complicated, and you should not be particularly satisfied with Heidegger's answer if you understand the problem here that he's trying to address. So, let's say that a man has a boat, and every day he goes down to the boat, sails it around a little bit, finds a little part on it that's maybe wiggling or that stands out to him. Somehow it becomes conspicuous. And so he goes to the boat store after he rides his boat around. This is all, he's retired. That's all he does all day. Takes his boat out, finds a part on it, goes to the boat store, buys a new part that will fit where that part was. And then he goes back to the boat, takes off the old part, replaces it with a new one. And every day he changes one part of the boat, and never the same part until he goes through the whole boat. Keeps a little note of it. Today I replaced screw 1365B, located here on the blueprint, and he makes a little arrow. And he therefore carefully, every day changes out one part of the boat. When he's finished, and he's gone through every single part of the boat, does he have a new boat?
Mm-hmm.
Is it the same boat? What is it then?
Fresher coat.
It's a fresher boat? A fresher coat? A fresher boat than what? What happened to the boat he originally started with? Is it the same boat that he originally started with?
No.
We all agree no, it's not the same boat. Is it a new boat? A different boat? If it's a different boat, then it's not the same boat. And you already said it was not the same boat, therefore it must be a different boat? But is it a different boat? He got a new boat.
Well, wouldn't that be like car washes? So what's the point of getting a car wash then? If it's still the same
Does a car wash give you a new car?
No, but it gives us a fresher look.
So the question is, what maintains itself as identical from one moment to the next in the boat? Does anything maintain itself?
The same design,
Maybe the same ratio of the parts to each other, right?
so it looks the same. So
It's still the same size. It's still the same shape. It's still the same. The guy still uses it the same. It's the same owner.
What about if it wasn't all the parts? What if it's just one part?
Yeah,
It's not the same boat. It's different.
it's different. At what point does it become a different boat? If it's a different boat with the first part that he changed, then does he ever have the same boat? For instance, isn't the paint always fading? By the time he drives it off the lot, is it the same boat? Slightly different, right? What if a rock hits it as he's taking it to the marina for its very first, or when he christens it and he smacks the champagne or the wine bottle or whatever it is that they use to smash it? Now it's a different boat. Oh, you just scratched it. It's a different boat. In which case, if it's always a different boat, then it's never identical to itself. But what did Heidegger just say about the self? It is that which maintains itself as something identical to itself, right, throughout changes. But what are the changes he's interested in here? Throughout changes in its experiences and ways of behavior. But here again, we run into this problem because no experiences ever leave us identical. That's the whole point of experience, is that it changes us. But if we've never been the same, then we're never identical to any other previous iteration of ourselves. None of ourselves are the same. None of our behaviors are the same. None of our personality traits are the same. Nothing about us is the same from one moment to the next. Well, lots of things are the same, but lots of things are different from one moment to the next, right? So what maintains itself as identical? Well, maybe we're going to see that what maintains itself as identical is if you get caught up in the ontical quality of yourself, you will never find anything. But if you think of yourself as an existential